My name is Arthur Wagner. I was born in Hamtramck, but when I lived here as a youngster, I was known as Archie among my family and cousins. And some of those, even though I haven't been Archie for 50 or more years, still call me Archie. I was born at St. Francis Hospital before it became the City Hall, well before it became the City Hall. And my family lived, when we were in Hamtramck, we lived in 3 different places on Belmont Avenue. My grandmother lived on Belmont Avenue. 2 or 3 of my uncles lived on Belmont Avenue. And then we had some strangers who lived on Yeamans or on Florian Street. Starting in the 1920s, when my grandmother's family, the Skonieczny family, came here from Windber, Pennsylvania. I attended St. Ladislaus School with my brothers and sisters up until the 4th grade, and then my family moved to Northeast Detroit. While we were here, we had a grocery store on Belmont and Lumpkin, and that was the community gathering place. So we were always up to date on the latest meats, groceries, and neighborhood gossip as well. My father arrived in 1913, and my mother was born in the United States in Wilmington, Delaware in 1905. Her family went back to Poland and returned in 1913 and moved to Pennsylvania, where they worked in the mines, and then came here to work in the auto plants. During my youth, I went through school again at Queen of Heaven School. From there, I went to eventually to St. Mary's Orchard Lake, where I earned a bachelor's degree, and then to the University of Detroit, where I earned my master's degree. And I began teaching English, first of all, as a student teacher at Hamtramck High School in 1959. And then I went on to Warren High School and spent the last 32 years of my teaching career at Macomb Community College. And during that time, I stayed involved with community groups like church groups, the parish councils, and was a lecturer and a lay minister. I also coached Little League, not necessarily willingly, but when they said, if you don't coach Little League, your children will not play baseball, I was drafted into it, and I enjoyed that brief career very much. We also were active with Scouts and other such things. The library was one of my favorite places when I was a youngster, and in those days it was above the Cunningham drugstore at Joseph Campo and Caniff. Other things I recall, especially with great pleasure, the time we went with the St. Ladislaus School on streetcars, which were backed up next to the church. We all got on during the day with our mothers in picnic baskets and took the streetcars to the Boblo boat, took the voyage to Boblo, spent the day, and came by streetcars. There's an experience that we will never, I think, be able to repeat. Well, Hamtramck is certainly different from the time I was a youngster. Then it was a little more homogeneous. We had largely a Polish population, but before that it was largely German. And then we had a mix of Ukrainians, Ruthenians, and others. And, but the shops on Joseph Campo were pretty much one side Jewish-owned and the other side Polish-owned. But they were really high-class shops, and I think the clothing stores here were outstanding in those days, because people used to admire my clothing, because since we came back to Hamtramck, it was really our shopping mall in those days during the 50s and 60s, and we came back here to get our clothing. And when we were married, we had our wedding reception at the Polish Falcons on Caniff, near Conant. I have been active with a number of organizations, and I haven't kept track of all of them, but I chaired the local chapter of the Society for Technical Communication. I also have enjoyed my time with the Hemingway Society of Michigan, because we have cherished the Michigan locations in the north, where Hemingway found locations for his stories, where his family lived, and now where many of us go for recreation and healing power of this nature that we don't have much of in Hamtramck. I met my wife when we were both teaching in the Warren Consolidated School District, and we had a teachers' bowling league that used to help us relax on Friday evenings. Bowling became secondary to the social life there, and it was both men and women. And we met because 2 members of our team didn't show up, 2 members of her team didn't show up, so we were joined as a team, and then that started it. We were married within about 1.5 years of that. We had 2 children over the years. We had a son, John, a son, James. Both of them married wonderful girls, and we have 3 very bright grandchildren, very sociable grandchildren, including 1 granddaughter, which is pretty much the first female child that we have been associated with since we had boys, and our nephews on my wife's family side are boys, and our granddaughter and our 2 grandchildren, other grandchildren, give us a great pleasure. We spend a lot of time in our retirement babysitting with them when they were in the infancy, and enjoy the time with them now as they started school and have some leisure, and still seem to enjoy having their grandparents around. This year we will celebrate our 48th anniversary of our marriage. This is my wonderful wife, Maddie. Her real name is Magdalene. She is the 3rd of 4 Magdalenes in various generations of her family, the Sayevich family. And we are very pleased to be here on many occasions when the library has these award dinners. We have enjoyed them in the past, and now it's a double pleasure because we respect their organization and we're happy to be here.